I was kind of asked to give some timely advice for growers in relation to seed. And like I said, we're going to plant a lot as long as the seed supply is out there and we got a place to store them, correct? I mean, that's kind of the way we look at it right now. But the biggest thing that I wanted to bring to you is seed quality. You know, we know if we're going to plant a lot, we're going to put them in some harsh conditions. You know, hopefully the seed quality will be there. Based on everything I'm hearing, it looks pretty good. So basically we know we're going to grow 06G. Seed quality is there, but we know we may need to keep track of this through the growing season, because again, if we plant 700 and some odd thousand acres, it's going to be spread from probably April all the way through June like it was this year. If those seed have been, you know, shelled and put in bags for a long period of time and we've put them under harsh conditions just in farmer storage, that viability or germ may go down. We just need to take a look at it. If you're dropping those seed in the hopper, just make sure they look good. For some reason, if they do not, let's put them in a small, let's save about a pound sample, put it in a paper bag and put it in your office and see if you have any problems with stand. We just want to kind of warn against any problems that we might have. You never can tell what you may run into. But things to ensure you can get good stands, again, maintain your planters. We've been in places where things just have not worked correctly, and that might be just, you know, we have seed treatments on these peanuts. You get a lot of gunk buildup behind the plates. Make sure sometimes we go in there and make sure we don't have any vacuum problems. Inoculant tubes, insecticide tubes, all that matter. You know, we just put it in the hopper and run, right? We don't want to lose any time where we can cause ourselves some problems. You know, start on the right foot, make sure we're have the right fertility and pH. Glenn talked about that earlier. And like Eric mentioned, start weed free and have a good seed bed. We don't want to have anything slow these peanuts down whatsoever. And so that kind of can help us. But plant when good conditions are good. Like I mentioned earlier, soil temp, soil moisture is a big deal here. We planted a couple thousand acres, like I mentioned, 1st of April. Soil conditions were just right. They were 75 plus degrees, and we had some go ahead and start planting. That's not something we typically recommend that early, but we did. And those plants looked a whole lot better when they got up and going versus the ones that were planted 2 weeks later. So just make sure that when times turn to not where they're not very optimum for planting, just know that you're going to have some potential problems with stands. Soil temps, again, we want 68 degrees for at least 3 days with no possible dip in there. And when you have a stand issue, call us out there, because it's not always the seed. And so we want to make sure that, you know, when we're trying to help you diagnose the situation, you know, after the fact, 2 or 3 weeks later, it's going to be hard to determine very much. And I showed this earlier. This had more to do with moisture in the soil and soil temps when we put that seed in the ground and then putting cold water on top of them. So that's not the seed's fault. The seed germ was perfect in this sense. You know, we can't do anything about this, but the fact is it delayed him, you know, and had some very off maturity wise, had him off for 1 to 2 to 3 weeks with some of that seed coming up. And so that's hard to, you know, you got weeds coming up in some of that. You got all kinds of things if we can't lap that middle consistently in that field. So everything is about how we approach it, and it's not just the seed. So again, let's try to do the best job that we can. Know the limitations of your varieties. Like I said, we're going into some potential areas where we're going to have bad or reduced rotation. I wouldn't say bad rotation, but reduced rotation, and it's going to cause us to put a lot of pressure on 06. And as some of these new varieties come out, we need to try them if we can. Again, the seed supply may not be there, but we know 12Y has tremendous white mold resistance, but it does have a limitation with Rhizoc. 13, again, great variety. It's done well for the last 3 years. We thought we were going to really make some progress here, but we stepped off into some bad leaf spot areas, and that hurt us. So just, if we know this going into it and you're planting these varieties, you know, all you can do is try to budget the best management practice you can, best fungicides, and go from there. Georgia 14N, again, looks to be wonderful for root knot. What we saw this year looked great as far as growth and what it can do, but just again, it's late maturing. It's going to step on out there. We need to plant it early. And so you can't expect 150 or plus day peanut to really give you your yield potential, 12Y or 14 if we don't plant it early. We had a lot of people planting that June the 1st. So definitely cannot get some of the yield potential out of some of these late maturings if we do that. And with that, that's all I have.